Alright, so we are rolling. Okay. Okay, so why don't we just jump right into things and just get into our first go-to training activity? Everybody ready? Ready or not? Let's do it. Exactly. Okay, everybody can hear me okay, right? Just want to make sure. All right. Awesome. All right, so first question, and feel free to type in your answer. Feel free to type in your answer in the chat box. Okay, here we go. Who here has a tattoo? Feel free to answer in the chat box. Wow, we got a couple people already. Okay, those of you who don't have one can leave. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding, my goodness. But this is amazing. We got quite a few people already. I don't know about you guys, but there's something about turning 18. I don't know, maybe it was like that for you, but for me, 18 was like the magical age where I just felt this, like, I'm going to totally nerd out and quote Highlander. I felt this irresistible pull towards a faraway land to get a tattoo. It was like that for me. I woke up one morning, I called my best friend, and he just kind of knew what was going on. I always drag him on my crazy adventures. And so I was like, this is it. This is it. And he knew what I was talking about. So he's like, okay, I'll tag along. So I don't know, but, and I might be really dating myself, but back when I was a wee lad, if you wanted a tattoo, you had to travel some distance, and and the area, the uh, the surroundings of the tattoo parlors back in the days, they weren't they were kind of rough. And so me and my buddy, we walk into this tattoo parlor, and sure enough, the tattoo artist, they're this 6'4" Harley Davidson dudes. And when I say that, I mean, picture in your head 6'4", just really, really just monstrous guys with shaggy beards and shaggy long hair, sunglasses. Keep in mind, sunglasses indoors, no less. They were wearing sunglasses indoors. So one of them walks up to me, and I ask him probably the single most redundant question they get asked every day. What do you think they get asked every single day? What do you think these guys get asked every day? Anyone? Exactly. Michaela wins the prize of the day. Megan, you too. Oh my gosh. You folks nailed it. Yes, yes, does it hurt? And so imagine me, scrawny old Eddie, looking up at this guy towering over me, and I'm like, does it hurt? And I will never forget his response. I'm going to try to do, I'll try to do the impression. I'm not very good at impressions, but I'll try to do it. So he looks down at me. He looks down at me, and he's like, well, the outline feels like an eagle claw, and the coloring feels like a cat scratch. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, yes, I've been scratched by a cat before, but never an eagle. Doesn't sound too bad, though. So I'm like, okay, sounds good. Hook me up. So I dive right into the chair. And you know what doesn't help, folks? It doesn't help that the tattoo drill, that little gun, as they like to call it, it doesn't help that it sounds like a torture instrument that we have often heard in many a horror film scene. You know, when the poor helpless victim is getting tortured, you often hear a sound very similar to that device. So that's not very comforting. So he starts drilling away at my flesh, and I don't know what happened to Eddie exactly, but he must have just like gone off into a happy place, because I totally blinked. I zoned out, and before I knew it, my body starts like shaking me. He starts shaking me, and he's like, "Dude, are you okay? What? You look at yourself in the mirror." And I look, I kind of like raise my head and I look in the mirror, and no light, my face is blood red, and there is just sweat pouring over my face. And he's like, "Dude, let, should I have him stop? Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I don't think he'll stop even if you beg him." So so 3 hours later, or I should say 3 hours later, um, yeah, 3 hours later, he's finally done, just like hamburgering away at my flesh. But I walked out of there with a tattoo, and I was feeling very, very proud. I was feeling like I was a little lightheaded, I must say, from the experience and the pain, a combination of those two. But what what happened was, like, I realized, uh-oh, I gotta make it home. I gotta make it home without being seen, letting this thing be seen by my mom. And I, I don't know about you guys. Any Latin moms out there? Anybody have a Spanish mom? There's something about Spanish Latin moms that they have this, like, this sixth sense. I don't know what you call it, but it's like X-ray vision. So because the next morning, on my way out the door, I was like, I had it all covered. I'm like, I'm going to wear a long black shirt, black t shirt. There's no way she's going to see this thing. Guess what? I'm almost out the door when I hear, "What is that?" Bless my mom. She's got a really, really thick accent. She's like, "What is that on your shirt?" And I don't know how. I don't know how she saw it, but she saw it. And you would have thought that Eddie had just murdered someone, because the chaos that ensued after she saw it, it was nuts. Absolutely nuts in the Tapia household. Those shouting and screaming, "You're never gonna amount to anything in your life," and blah blah blah. Oh my goodness. It was crazy, folks. It was crazy. They've settled down, now that I've grown up, and they've learned to accept it and accept me and all my crazy ways, and so it's okay now. But the thing about it is, when I asked you guys, and I asked that question early on, it's not such a big deal nowadays. There's even people that you don't suspect have tattoos. They actually have quite a few tattoos, and people that you would never suspect, they actually know how to tattoo. There's always somebody that we know of, like maybe we have a friend or a friend of a friend that at least knows how to do it, or they may even have a kit. Like, yeah, a buddy of mine did this for me, and it's like an amazing tattoo. It's pretty incredible. So I share this story with you guys this morning because I want you to approach the concept of presentations, of presenting in a similar manner. I shared a story with you, and that is how presentations should be taught. That is how they should be presented. I had a opening, I had an icebreaker, I drew you guys in with a question. I had a feeling that a few of you guys were gonna, even if you didn't have a tattoo, you probably at one point thought about it. Don't lie, it's okay. It's okay. But that is how presentations should be approached. And I want you to think about it that way, because you know what? Maybe at some point in your life you had to suffer through some kind of presentation where it was just bullet point after bullet point after bullet point, and on their slides there was just a bunch of words just thrown up there, and the presenter was standing in front of his slides just reading off the slideshow. And there's nothing inspiring about that. So this is what creative presentation is all about. This is one of the main concepts behind the textbooks that we chose, the Resonate and Slideology textbooks. We want you to think about presentations as a form of storytelling. We have a beginning, we have a middle, and we have an end. We have experiences to share, and we want to engage our audience through evocative visuals and powerful, emotions, because we all have them. We all have them. And that's how we remember things. When you meet somebody, you don't really remember some like little tiny fact about them, but you'll remember a story that they shared with you, right? Exactly, Casey. It is indeed a call to adventure. It's a call to action. Yeah. So think about that. Think about that. And you know what it does? It also kind of helps us relax a little bit. We're so focused on just getting our facts straight when we stand in front of a podium that we lose it, right? Our anxiety takes over. It's a bit overwhelming, but when you think about it in terms of a story, we become a little bit more relaxed, right? Because it almost becomes something like, you would share a story with a buddy or a friend, or, a sibling, whatever, right? So think about it. Creative presentations and storytelling, right? So before I go on, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some survival tips. Anybody want to know some survival tips? How to survive? Not just in this class, but at Full Sail in general. The two words that will haunt you, and I'm going to be throwing them at you all month long. These two right here, you see them, you read them, and you may have heard them before. You'll probably keep hearing them from your online student liaison or whoever. But if you get these two words down this month, hopefully within the first week, the rest will be so much more digestible. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding. Because listen up. This class is only 4 weeks long. It's only 4 weeks long, and these weeks will go by so fast. They will go by so fast. So the number one thing is that you handle your time accordingly. And that's one of the biggest challenges about online schooling. It has its pros. It's got so many advantages to it. You don't have to fight for a chair, and if you're in class, maybe you want to sit up front, but you can't really sit up front if you get to class late. Or maybe you want to get good parking. Well, you might not get good parking if you get to class late as well. So there's a couple of things you don't even have to worry about in online education. But that doesn't mean that it does have its challenges as well. And the number one hurdle is time management. Time management. So that brings me to the number one thing, your grades. Like I mentioned before, this is an accelerated program. Every course at Full Sail is 4 weeks long. And it's going to go by pretty quick. And each week you're going to have assigned readings, some videos to watch, some projects to complete, deadlines at the end of the week. So you know what? You might not get an A plus, you might not get an A minus, you might not get a B. But what does that mean? Does that mean you're a failure? Absolutely not. That means that this is an accelerated program. So I say that to not just this, I'm not trying to scare anybody, number one, but I want everybody to understand that, maybe you're one of those guys that are like, or whatever, you've gotten A's all your life, but you know what? Things are a little different in this school. This program is 4 weeks long. You got deadlines and assignments at the end of each week. So it's going to be tight. It is going to be tight, right? So yeah, don't throw in the towel if you get a C plus or a B or an A minus. Oh no, not a 95. Wait, I didn't get 100. That's it. I'm quitting. Right? So just keep that in mind. You are going to have many scream into pillow moments, as I like to call them. some times where you're going to want to throw your cell phone across the room, and that's fine. Just make sure you have a sturdy case to it, right? Hey, I was in school at one point, several points in my life, and I learned. All right, so a couple things right off the bat. Let's talk about the online orientation. Hopefully, everybody completed that by now. Um, and if from what I understand, there might be a couple of videos to watch, and in the video, it basically shows you how to navigate the platform. If you didn't do it, I strongly recommend doing it, because that way you'll be familiar with how to use the platform, what where this goes and where that goes, and where do you go for this and that. Um, Also, start your assignments first thing in the week. First thing in the week, like Monday, as soon as that assignment becomes available, fire open the instructions. Take a look at, start reviewing, go through it with a fine tooth comb. At the very least, you want to just read the instructions. That way you can see, okay, here's what I need. Here's what I'll need for the rest of the week. Um, And I always like to suggest, going over the instructions before you get to the go-to sessions. That way everything is going to make so much more sense. And it will click. It will definitely click. Give yourself a full week to work on the assignments. At the very least, a full week. Never, 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 never wait until the weekend to start your assignments. It's just a lot to digest, folks, and it's you don't need that stress. Believe me, you do not need that stress. um, I know some people in the past have tried to start an assignment like on a Sunday or even a Saturday, and they learn the hard way, because there's a lot of reading involved. There's a lot of like you might have to learn an application, you might have to learn like a little program, how to use it, and it's very, very hard to do that in one day. Trust me. Trust me. So yeah, don't procrastinate, right? Nobody's going to procrastinate. Who's going to procrastinate? Me? Never. You? I'm going to take that as a no, Blake. Okay, good, 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 good. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad I'm reading these. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. And speaking of procrastinated, now if you've looked through your assignments, you will notice that each assignment is weighted differently. You might see an assignment weighted at 5% of your grade. Another assignment might be worth 15%. Another one, 20%. So here's the thing. Here's what I recommend. Now, ideally, you don't want to miss any assignment, right? Try not to miss even one assignment. But let's just say, for example, you hang on one second. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's say you're having a really rough week, and you're just not feeling it, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this assignment this week. I'm just not going to do it. I don't care what Eddie says. Well, you end up finding out that that assignment weighs 20% of your grade, and it will chip a huge dent of your overall average. So that's why I bring this up. So keep that in mind. If you're having any kind of trouble, any kind of issue, reach out to me as soon as possible. Talk to your student liaison. Um, Let them know what's going on. Uh, Actually, how many of you have been in touch with their OSL? their online student liaison. Anyone? Oh, good. Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, it looks like all of you guys. Cool. That's wonderful. I'm really, really glad. Um, if you haven't gotten one yet, just call the main Full Sail number, 407-679-0100. Here, let me type that in the chat box really quick. 407-679-0100. Say, for example, you haven't gotten in touch with one, call that number and tell them who you are, what degree program you're in, and that you're trying to speak with your online student liaison, and they should hook you up. And no problem. Alrighty. Okay. The other thing is, really try to attend, or at the very least, watch these go-to training sessions. I know I talked about it earlier, but just as a reminder, because we do go over a lot of stuff. We go over. I'm going to be showing you guys examples in a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I can read a manual. Like if I need to learn something about, if I need to figure something out in Pro Tools, I can read the manual. I'm okay, but it's kind of cool to have somebody walk you through it step by step. You know, things might click a little bit easier. You know, so that's what these go-to trainings are about as well. All right, so yeah, you want to keep up with your assigned reading. You'll want to make sure that each week you're staying on top of that, because I can always tell I can always tell who's doing the reading, who's attending these sessions. The second I open up your assignment, I can tell. I know. So make sure you do it. And you want to check the class page, check your Full Sail email every day, because that's the thing about online education. You're basically going to be living online. So you want to make sure, that's the number one way we get in touch with you guys. We use your email. So like, for example, if I didn't receive an assignment, or if admissions or financial aid needs a signature from you guys, or they have a check waiting for you, or whatever, I don't know. You want to make sure you're checking your email at least every day. It'll take you like 2 minutes, maybe less even. So yeah, and if you haven't already, that's the thing about resources. You guys have a ton of resources. Not just at the school, not just being a Full Sail student, but in this era, we have an incredible amount of resources at our fingertips. If you want to learn, anybody in graphic design or 3D arts, or music production, recording arts, anybody in? Okay, cool. So let's say, for example, I got a couple people in music production. Let's say, for example, you want to learn about mixing and mastering. Lynda.com has a gold mine of music tutorials. Lynda.com has a gold mine of excellent, high quality video tutorials on basically any and every topic you can imagine. If you want to learn how to use Keynote, Lynda.com has it. If you want to learn how to use Photoshop, or Logic Pro, or Pro Tools, or Final Cut Pro, or Final Draft, Lynda.com. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So the way to use Lynda.com for Full Sail students is you have to first go to FS Connect. Let me type that in here. Hang on 1 second. FS Connect. Go to the Full Sail library, and then you'll see Lynda.com. Now, if you just type in Lynda.com in your browser, they'll try to charge you. So if you do it this way, then then it's for free, because every Full Sail student has a free lynda.com account. So really, guys and gals, sorry, I always say guys, but you know what I mean. Lynda.com should be your new best friend. It is amazing. Totally amazing. Cool. Everybody good? How we doing, folks? Okay, awesome. Hang on one second, folks. Okay, sorry about that. I had to cough my lungs out. I think I'm coming down with a fever or something. I got bit by a walker. I know. I hope it's okay too. Feeling a little weak, but I should be fine. Anywho, I will confess, I'm a kind of a big, huge Walking Dead fanatic. Sorry, I can't help myself. Anyway, I digress. Don't get me talking on that, because I could be here for 3 hours talking about that. So yeah, all right. So listen up, folks. Stop trying to distract me with the Walking Dead topics. All right. Nice, Megan. Carl. All right. So for reals. Now, what I have on the board, on the chalkboard right now, the virtual chalkboard, what have you. Now, this is just I'm just putting this out there as a kind of, just giving you guys a little heads up, just to tell you what's coming down the pipeline. So this is what's going on next week and in week 3. So next week you're going to have an assignment that requires you to record your voice. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, I hate the sound of my voice. No, I'm sorry, folks. Nobody sounds nerdier than me. Okay, so if you're if you hate the sound of your voice, I hate the sound of my voice worse. I'll have a little well, it's not really a confession, but my students in the past, and just like every class I've ever had, they all say the same thing, and month after month, never ceases to amaze me. Somebody will always say that I sound like Ferris Bueller or Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. I don't know. Take your pick. One or the other. It's crazy, but I've just learned to embrace it. At first, I was like, "No way, dude! I don't sound like that at all. You're full of crud." And sure enough, every month they're like, "You know who you sound like?" I'm like, "Okay, thanks." so what? Okay, thanks. Now I see a lot. I have a lot of people agreeing with that. That's just wonderful. Anyhow, I digress yet again. So yes, in week 2, I say this so that you will, maybe after the session, just see what kind of mic and audio recording capabilities you got going on. Some people are. We don't require you to use any specific software or hardware, because in month 1, everybody is, kind of all over the place. Everybody, you might be in game art, you might be in music production, you might be using an iPad or a tablet or a desktop or whatever. So for month 1, that's, we kind of leave it open for you guys. So all you need for next week is you just need to make sure you have some mic of some kind. And what a lot of students have used in the past is they simply use the headset that came with their smartphone. A lot of students use that. A lot of students use Audacity. Audacity is a free online program. It's kind of like GarageBand, only it's free. A lot of students have used that with really good results. So again, this is all stuff that's going to happen next week, and you're probably like, why are you telling me this now, Eddie? You're stressing me out. No, I'm just saying, just giving you guys a little heads up. So maybe like after the session, just kind of see what you got. Maybe your headset will work with your phone. Maybe you got a built-in mic on your laptop. So you have time. But I also say that way you don't have to wait till the last minute next week. Alrighty? Because nobody is going to wait until the last minute, right? Yes. Yes. I mean, agree. All right, cool. All right, doing good, doing good. So let me ask you this. How many of you guys are comfortable standing in front of an audience? Now since we're talking about our assignments, and since this is a creative presentation class, how many people are a little nervous about standing in front of an audience giving a presentation? Piece of cake, right? Be nervous, a little nervous, okay. It's all right. That's good. A little nervous, yeah. It seems like most of us have a little bit of anxiety, and that's totally fine. Well, the thing about this class is you won't have to stand in front of a live audience. The presentations that we're doing here, we're going to be using different presentation tools. You might be using PowerPoint or Keynote or Prezi, or it really depends. It depends on what you want to use. You can use Adobe Spark. So just keep that in mind. That the great thing about constructing a presentation like that is you can edit. You can let's say maybe you have a little doggy named Cujo, and he decides to just start barking like Satan in the middle of your presentation. Well, if you're recording, you can always edit that out. That's one of the awesome things about constructing a presentation like that. And Audacity and most recording programs let you do that. So whether you're using GarageBand or Audacity, they basically do the same thing. All right? All right, so let's see here. So yeah, again, this is all stuff that I'm just kind of like giving you a little heads up as far as what's coming down the road for week 3, for example. You don't even need to film yourself, and in fact, I recommend you don't film yourself. You're probably like, God, Eddie, you're mean. That's kind of rude. He doesn't want to see us. Well, that's not it at all. The thing about it is, you don't want to have to worry about lighting and an environment. Believe it or not, lighting when you're filming is a huge component. It really is. If anybody's going into digital cinematography, or into film, they'll understand it. So, filming yourself, that's like a whole new headache. A whole new headache. So you don't have to do that, right? And you'll be able to use any presentation tool that you want. So it could be PowerPoint or Keynote, or, like I said, Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark is awesome. Adobe Spark, you know why? One of the reasons why it's awesome is, well, it is awesome. It's very user friendly, but it's also free. It's free, and free is good, right? I'll just type it in there. Adobe Spark. Adobe. Eddie can't spell today. Adobe Spark. There you go. Yeah, you just jump online, type Adobe Spark, and you'll find it. A lot of students have used that in the past, All right, so moving right along. So let me ask you this. I'm all about the questions today. I'm just throwing a ton of questions at you folks. How many of you have set up your Office 365 account? Anyone? Fantastico. Looks like a lot of you have. Okay, cool. Well, here's the cool thing about Office 365. It's free to Full Sail students. Office 365 has Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So, like, if you were kind of worried and saying, "Hey, I don't have anything to do my homework in. I don't have a presentation program." Well, as soon as you fire up that baby, you will. You will. So make sure you're checking your Full Sail email about Office 365. I believe we have some info on it on our class page as well. And if you have any setup issues or this goes for class in general. Like if you run into some kind of technical issue at all, call FSO support. I got the number right here, 855-374-3572. You might want to screenshot this baby. Keep that number handy, folks. Any kind of technical issue, you call that number, tell them what's going on, and that you just need a little help, right? They'll FSO support usually handles tech issues like that. Cool. All right. Okay. Wanted to keep that on there for a little bit if you wanted to jot it down or screenshot it. Screenshot is like the best invention ever. Okay, so I mentioned Adobe Spark, and yeah, just another reminder there. So like, and this is for week 2 and week 3. Adobe Spark is really handy. Now, FS Connect. You want to make sure that you're checking FS Connect out because you might be like, oh man, if I was only on campus, I'd be able to appreciate it and take advantage of all the lectures. No, as online students, there are still a ton of industry panels and guest speaker events that you guys can attend, and I can't stress that enough. You should really, really check it out. So you want to be checking out FS Connect, at least every day. Just they got a lot of great information. And it's all about networking, making those connections now. Because you know what? It's like I said, folks, your degree is going to fly by. This next 4 weeks, they're going to fly by. And before long, not before long, excuse me, you're going to be graduating. So you don't want to look back and be like, man, if I only networked a little bit more in my class, if I only, just reached out to my classmate who's now an Academy Award winning sound designer. I really could have used him in my game development company. But no, I had to be shy. so yeah, don't be like that person. So really just push yourself to network and get to know people, attend any and every lecture that you can, that you see, and even if it doesn't seem like it like directly applies to your degree, check it out. Check it out. So yeah, you'll be able to find all this information out on FS Connect. Exactly. Exactly. Really great point. Yeah. Trust me, folks, I'm just deadly shy. All right, so Wi-Fi in your devices. So yeah, as far as survival tips and surviving this month and in the months to come in your online education, you should at the very least have your own Wi-Fi. At the very least. Now, I will say this, for this particular class, for creative presentation, you don't need like a high-end expensive MacBook Pro to get through this class. You can, a lot of students, I've seen students complete their work on their phones. I've seen students complete their work on iPads or tablets or Chromebooks or PCs, older Macs. You can do it. You can do it. But like I said, with everything, you wanna jump on it early in the week. That way, if you run into any tech issues, you can call FSO support and tell them what's going on. Hey, I'm working on my assignment. Here's what's going on. Can you give me a hand? Right? So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm really glad everybody's utilizing the chat box, and I want you guys to feel comfortable. Like after this session, if you're working on the assignment and you have a question, please just reach out to me as soon as you can. And here's the thing, though, folks. I hate to confess this, but if you email me at 3 a.m., there's a good chance I might be asleep. I might be away from my computer. I know. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. Sometimes I'm sorry. I'll try to get better about it, but sometimes I just like to squeeze in a little nap. Right? But for real, aside from that, I do my best to just, as soon as I get an email, I try to answer it as soon as possible. But yeah, this one I'm just throwing that out there. Expectations. So yeah, we are here to help for sure. Now, copyrighted material. Now, all month long, you guys are going to be online. You guys are going to be looking for images for your presentations, for your assignments. Now, there's a quite a few places where you can find them, where you can find copyright-free images. Now, here are just a few. Again, you might want to screenshot this. Creative Commons archive.org. Yes, very, very excellent point, Michaela. Did I pronounce your name right? Please say yes, please say yes. I hate mispronouncing names. I feel like the biggest loser. Okay, good. Thank goodness. Whew, that was close. You know what though? Don't feel bad. People butcher my name all the time. Though I hear tapia, topia, tapioca, tilapia. It's crazy. All kinds of stuff. Eddie spaghetti. Get that a lot. Yeah. That one never gets old. It's well, it's Tapia or Tapia. You know what? Just call me Sir Edward. Okay, they're done. Just call me Sir Edward. Sir Edward has a nice regal tone to it. It's very knightly. I'm kidding. That's my nerd side coming out. I apologize. Anywho. Alright, so folks, I need some scary music. Anybody see Hitchcock's classic film Psycho? I really need that shower scene music right here for this slide. You were like, oh man, I didn't capitalize my I wrote a fragment in the chat box. No, here's the thing. In this chat box, when you're typing stuff in the chat box in these go-to training sessions, I'm okay if you write fragments. I'm okay if you don't capitalize your sentence. That's fine as long as I can understand what you're saying. However, when you're doing graded work like discussion board assignments, anything that you have to turn in to me, please proofread your work. So yeah, I shouldn't see this. Lowercase I, when you're saying, yeah, don't say it like this, right? And you definitely don't want to say this, the old caps lock thing. We know what the caps lock thing indicates, right, folks? We're not new to the online world. Yeah. So yeah, you want to go easy on the caps lock. Exactly. I got this. Listen to me. Yeah. So yeah, when you got it in caps lock, it's just basically you're just shouting at someone. You're shouting at them, and there's no need to scream, right? I can. I gotcha. I'm here to help. I know, right, Samantha? Right? I'll try to mellow out a little bit. All right, so I had to throw that in there about college level writing standards. The main thing is you want to make sure you proofread your work. And it is all about online etiquette. Like when you're sending me a message on the platform or an email, and you know what, folks, this is not just for my class. It's my duty to kind of like, prepare you guys for your classes to come. That way, when you email next month's teacher or your teacher the following month, you're going to address them accordingly, and you're not going to just send them an email that says, "Help me now," right? You're not going to just say this in your email. Exactly. So at the very least, a little salutation, like hello, Sir Edward. Can you please clarify what you meant here in blah 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 blah? Signed, your name. I know you're rolling your eyes. I can totally tell you're rolling your eyes. I can see it. But the thing is, we get so comfortable in this virtual cyber world of the internet that we forget a lot of these common sense things, the online, the digital literacy. I can't force you to call me Sir Edward. I'm totally fine with Eddie, or as long as I know what you're talking about. Like if you call me some strange name and I don't get the reference, I'm gonna be like, what? Huh? All right. So I mentioned this briefly early on, like why did we choose Resonate and Slideology? Author Nancy Duarte, she is a master presenter. If you haven't seen her presentations on TED Talk, you'll understand really fast. But one of the things that really captivated me about her was, yeah, when I watched her, it's really obvious she's a natural. She's a born speaker. But one thing that she does really well is engage her audience by using emotions and using personal experiences. Because it's really easy to, and that's the thing about TED Talk. When you're watching TED Talk, I'm guilty. I lost count how many TED Talks I've watched. I've watched hundreds of presenters, and a lot of them were not good. They weren't good because they didn't engage their audience. They were just kind of indifferent with the audience. They were brilliant. Yes, no question. They knew their stuff, but they just weren't They weren't personable, they weren't conversational, and that's what lost the connection with the audience. Nancy Duarte's books on slideology and Resonate are just that. It teaches us how to resonate with our audience. So it's about presenting an idea, connecting that idea with your audience, and making them accept it. So, regardless of what degree program you're in, whether you're in mobile apps or game art, game design, music production, um, whatever creative idea, you are going to have to present an idea to a client one day, to a customer, to a fan base. You're going to have to present that idea, and if you don't know how to, um, it could be a failure. It really could, and I don't say that lightly or to sound mean, but that's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of even successful entrepreneurs and celebrities, they've tried to launch a product, but they failed to connect with their audience. They failed to ask their audience, "Hey, do you like this idea? What do you think about this idea? Is this something that you could use?" They didn't ask them that one thing, and you know what? Their product failed. Kind of sad, but there's a couple of really, I don't want to say easy, but they are quite simple in their undertaking to understand. So I want you to look at this image first and foremost. Number one, the amount of text on there. I don't have a lot of words on my slide, and that's what we're going for when we're constructing our presentations. And I want you to think about this as you're approaching your presentations. You never want to have, in a creative presentation, you never want to have a lot of text on your slides. The words that you have on there, they should be few, they should be sparse, but meaningful. Also, look at how they're formatted. They are in bold, they do pop out, especially the word change here. Also, notice the image. Notice how this image is completely filling up the slide. Notice this one too. It's a little bit lighter. I get to appreciate the colors a little bit more, but this is more what we're looking for. Utilize colors to your advantage. Again, I don't have a lot of words here. There's more color. The text pops out at me, but this is good. This is what we're looking for. Another good example. Industry and art thrive on change. All right, so ready for our second activity. Real quick. Here's what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to read a quote to you guys right here, this one right here, and I want you to think about it. Kind of bury it in your brain a little bit. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Now, I want you to think about that quote. Think about what it means to you. Now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this quote on top of an image. Now, I want you guys, in your own words, there's no really right or wrong answer here, but just in your words, tell me what mood does this evoke? What kind of tone does it evoke for you guys? Now what I'm talking about is the juxtaposition of the quote with the image. Do you think it works? Do you think the image works well? Do you think the image is not really good for the quote, and vice versa? What do you think? Key to a strong foundation. Vessel can only hold so much, while a flame can turn into a tower. Ah, nice. Very good responses so far, yeah. What about the mood? The combination of the two here. What do you think about? Tell me what you think about the mood of the quote as it's placed, as it's combined with the image. Okay, Andrew says definitely works. Collection of scholars. Clearly exercising their education. Strong photo. Okay, very good response. Thanks, Andrew. I tend to agree with you there, Megan. It's pretty spot on. Making the mood more serious, right? I inspirational, yeah. More stern. These are quite brilliant, folks. Thank you so much for your insight. Okay, stronger image. All right. All right. Check this out, folks. Watch this. All right. Now remember this quote. Keep it in your mind. Now watch what I'm going to do. Same exact quote. Look at the image in the background. Now I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you earlier. What mood do you think it evokes? What's the tone of the image and the quote? Do you think it works? Okay. Very deep. Yeah. Oh, I like that. The mood is more sad yet inspiring. Anything is possible. Ooh, these are good. Yes, yes, yes. I see what you mean, Blake. You mean like it starts small, as in, we start when we're young, we're just flames, and yet we can become raging fires, whatever you want to say. Makes you think more and feel. These are quite good. Now, somebody said earlier it kind of evokes a sad tone, yet at the same time it's inspiring. I totally agree. You know what I love about this particular matching of the quote and the image? I love that I don't know this boy's story, but at the same time, I don't need to know the story to know there's a story. Does that make sense? I don't need to know the story to know that there is a story here. And that's what I want you to think about when you are choosing your images for your presentation. Be thinking about, because it sounds so easy to do. Okay, I'm just jumping online. I'm just going to be picking random images for my presentation. No, you have to think about the image that best fits, the image that is the most powerful. Because when the viewer is done watching your presentation, they're going to forget facts, they're going to forget statistics, but you know what? They might remember a powerful photo that you showed them. It is an amazing, inspiring story. This scene right here, and I forget who said it earlier, but in the first picture where we saw the scholars, it gave such a different mood. It was a more, I don't know, kind of higher education, more scholarly, more kind of in my humble opinion, it was kind of a stuffier mood. You know what I mean? This is definitely more down to earth. This is more like, hey, everybody can do it. Where there is a will, there is a way. If you want to do it, you can. Sorry, Michaela. I know what you mean. You haven't even had your coffee yet? Oh, come on. I'm on cup number 5. Don't judge me. I can quit anytime I want. Anywho, you see where I'm going with this, though? So, choosing the right image is everything. Choosing the right quote, choosing the right words. harder than it seems. What about this, folks? What do you think? Come on. What mood does it evoke? Andrew says OMG. Funny. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Here's the thing. You know what? Even if you don't know who these gentlemen are, yes, there's something of a comedic flavor about this slide. Even if you don't know the movie, this excellent movie, um, you look at their goofy grins, you look at the way they're dressed. It's silly. It is silly. It's definitely a lighter mood, right? It might. It might indeed. Anybody know the movie? The name of the movie these characters are from? Bill and Ted's. Yes, you got it, Andrew. It's one of those classics. It's an oldie but a goodie. Anywho, all right, so let's talk about some of the elements needed for an effective presentation. Now, like the story that I shared with you at the beginning of the session, every presentation, it's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's up to you to decide where your punchline goes. Now, one thing is clear about every effective presentation: you always want to end strong. You always want to end with a kind of call to action. Where your audience is excited. You never want to just like say, "Thanks for watching. My name's Eddie Tapia. Bye." No, 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 no. Now, this is all about inspiring and connecting and engaging our audience, right? Exactly. All right. So, who wants to talk about the homework assignments? Anybody? I got a sample to show you. All right, let's do this. All righty. Let me just exit out of that. Professional history. Okay, so let's take a look-see at our discussion assignment. Now, I will say this. Should be okay. You mean my battery, Michaela? I think I'm alright. I think I have enough juice. If you guys start talking about Walking Dead, I probably will definitely need to plug in my outlet, because like I said, I could be talking for hours and hours about that. Anywho, see what you did? See what you did? Alright, enough. Let's talk about your discussion. First and foremost, you want to make sure you're proofreading. Anything you post, anything that's graded, proofread your assignments. So the main thing I want to see on these discussion boards is I want to see that you're answering these questions, these prompts in every single assignment you have, whether it's the discussion or the 1.4 or so on. You're going to have a series of questions to answer. Now, to clearly and accurately answer each of them, you're looking at roughly 2 paragraphs. So I don't want to say that you should definitely have 2 paragraphs, because the main thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're addressing each of these questions. For example, first question: describe your level of comfort delivering presentations. Are you fearful? Or are you completely comfortable? Explain why. If you have fears, what would make you feel more at ease? Now, even if you've never presented before, you should still talk about the idea of presenting. You could say exactly that. I've never given a formal presentation, but I think I'd be okay with it. It depends on the setting. It depends how many people, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Next question, discuss a public speaking experience you remember. Next question, discuss the time that you created a visual presentation. And then go on. What would you like to learn from this class? What would you like? What do you think you need to improve upon in your presentation skills? So that part of the assignment is due tomorrow by midnight. So each discussion is technically 2 parts. The first part is your initial post, which is typically due on Wednesdays. That's your first post. And then come your reply post. Your reply posts are due the following Sunday. So for your reply posts, you want to pick at least two classmates. Find 2 classmates, find something they said, and just chat about it. Give them constructive feedback. And I usually say, for each classmate, give them a couple of sentences worth. Don't just say, "Hey, that's cool," or "Nope, you're wrong." That's not very helpful at all, and it's not very nice either. So again, the idea is to kind of spark a conversation, get a conversation going. So couple sentences for each reply post, right? All right. So yeah, that is essentially it for your discussion assignment, right? So you just jot it on the discussion board. Make sure you get the first post in by midnight, and then your reply posts, make sure you get those in by Sunday. Cool. And it's as easy as that. But again, I will remind you, just make sure you're proofreading your work. Alrighty. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on that because the discussion is pretty straightforward. You're just answering those questions. So let's take a look at the 1.4 assignment. Professional analysis. Here we go. I have before me the instructions. Really great quote by Maya Angelou there. I've learned people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So that's the thing about presentations. It's kind of like a movie. Movies are all about making you feel something, making you feel bad, making you, feel be in a good mood, whatever, inspired. Think of your presentations like that. So for your professional analysis, what you're going to be doing is you're going to research and watch a minimum of 3 different TED Talks. So here's the link right here for the TED Talk. It's going to take you to the TED Talk website. You pick any 3 TED Talk presentations that you want. It could be about anything. If you were in game art or game design, it could be about video games. And that's the cool thing about TED Talk. If you go on their website right now, you'll see a little search field with a little magnifying glass. If you type video games there, you'll get dozens of video game presentations on the topic of video games. Same thing about music. If you go to TED Talk, you type in music, you'll get a ton of presentations on music. So what you do is you pick 3 different TED Talk presentations. Now, it doesn't have to be, like if you're in game art, it doesn't have to be a presentation on game art. If you're in music, it doesn't have to be a presentation on music. It could be about whatever you want, really. Michaela, you had a question. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Just go ahead and type it in the chat box. Okay, let's see here. While you're typing, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next slide. But the thing about it is, what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna analyze each of the TED Talks and be thinking about some of these questions to answer. You're gonna give a brief, analysis for each one. I would say a paragraph for each one. But yes, you do have to analyze each of the presentations. So be thinking about stuff to include in your analysis, like why was this presentation moving? What was it about? What did you like about it? How did the speaker draw you in, and so on. Then you are going to create a document. When I say create a document, all I mean is jot it down on a Microsoft Word document. Jot it down on a Google Doc. Anybody use Google Docs? Google Drive is a free kind of cloud-based program. I'll type it in here. Let's say, for example, you don't have Pages, and you don't want to use Office 365. So Google Drive is your next free option. Google Drive is a free cloud-based application. You can type it in your internet browser and it'll take you to a website. Google Drive has applications like Google Docs, and Google Docs is kind of like a quick and dirty version of Microsoft Word. It basically allows you to do the same thing. And also, Google Drive has what's called Google Slides. And same thing about that, Google Slides is kind of like a really compact version of PowerPoint. Pretty nifty. Pretty nifty. Yeah, each analysis should be about a paragraph long. What I mainly want to see, exactly, yeah, is I want to see, tell me what it's about, tell me what the presentation was about, and answer some of the questions in step one. So all right, so I talked to you about step one, step two, and then step three, the last thing you want to do, the last thing, after you've watched all three presentations, after you've analyzed all three, I want you to come up with your own last list of 10 qualities, techniques, or presentation skills that made the presentation you watched inspiring, captivating, creative, and effective from your own perspective. So, for example, let's say you watched all three presentations and you kind of came to the realization that, you know what, it's really important to have a good sense of humor for an effective presentation. And that was one of your top 10 qualities. And in addition to that, you were like, you know what, after watching all these presentations, I've come to the realization that you have to have passion. You have to be passionate about what you're talking about. You see where I'm going with that? Exactly. Yes, exactly, Michaela. The 10 qualities are basically qualities that you think are important. So that this 1.4 TED Talk assignment is due Sunday. Sunday. Now, who wants to see a sample of the 1.4? I made a little sample. Now, this is what I'd like to call just a quick and dirty sample. It's up to you to make it pretty. It's up to you to enhance it, include more images. Now, here we go. So here is my sample of the 1.4 assignment. So you'll notice at the very top of my assignment, I need to include my name. I know you're rolling your eyes. You're like, no duh, Eddie. We know. You would be surprised how many assignments I get without a name. So please include your name at the top. I'm going to go ahead and write my names at the top. Okay. Don't forget to write the date. Today is August 1st. Right? And the exact title of the assignment. 1.4 professional blah blah blah. Okay? See what I did there? Alright. Okay, so here's what I want. Now, this is just an example. So, the presentation I chose was called Why I Live in Mortal Dread of Public Speaking. So this is what I definitely want to see. This is kind of like the formatting you should have. I need to see the exact title of your presentation, kind of like this. I have title of presentation, Why I Live in Mortal Dread of Public Speaking. Name of presenter, Megan Washington. Link, include the link. That way, if you say something really interesting about the presentation, you highly recommend it, hey, I want to watch it. So it's really convenient to include the link here. So next thing, your analysis. Include a paragraph explaining the presentation. Tell me what it's about. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Next thing, include your visual element. So what I did here was, I jumped online. I typed in Megan Washington TED Talk presentation, and I found a bunch of images on Megan Washington. Right? So that's just one. That's just one. Now, like I said, this is just a quick and dirty. What I'm showing you is basically the bare minimum. The bare minimum. So it's up to you to, include more images, maybe put a nice border around it if you like, kind of, make it look fancy and so on. But this is the meat of what I want. I need to see the exact title of the presentation. I need to see the name of the presenter. Show me the link, an analysis, and an image, or two, or three. Cool? Good question, Michaela. I don't have a preferred font and size, but, I'm an old man, so don't, be kind to my eyeballs. Alrighty? So, alright, so I need to analyze 3 different presentations, so let's move down and do it all over again. 2, title of presentation, yada yada yada. Name a presenter, jot down the name of the presenter. Link of the presentation, throw in the link in there. And then again, write a paragraph about the presentation. What was it about? What did you like about it? And so on. And include an image about the presentation. As long as it's a relevant image, right? If it's a presentation on video games, you can either include an image of the presenter or include a relevant image about video games. It's up to you. Now, go on. Do it one more time, because remember, I got to analyze 3 different presentations. But again, give me the title of the presentation, the name of the presenter, the link, your analysis, and the image. Now, last but not least, remember, I need a list of top 10 qualities. This should be at the very end of your assignment. So just jot down 1 through 10. And these are just examples. You don't have to use these, but the idea is I need, from your perspective, after you watched each of the presentations, what are some qualities that you think make for a good presentation? If you think it's important to have a sense of humor, jot that down. Explain why. Provide an example for each one too. Same thing. Number 2, if you think it's important to use props in your presentation, explain why, provide an example, and so on. So I only need 10 qualities, not 30, just 10. A total of 10. And that's it, folks. That is your 1.4 assignment. All right, so quick quiz time. How many qualities do I need? Exactly. You got it. You got it. How many presentations do I need to analyze? You got it. Yeah. So like this. Give me the title of presentation, name of the presenter, throw in the link. Give me a paragraph analyzing it. Throw in an image or two. And do that 3 times. By the way, this is a pretty awesome presentation. That's one of my favorites. Why I live in mortal dread of public speaking. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. But that's it, folks. And like I said, it is totally up to you to make it fancy. You can include more images. You can put nice borders around it. What I'm using here is Microsoft Word. If you don't have Word, you can always fire up your Office 365 account because that includes Microsoft Word. Or if you don't want to use that, you can use Google Docs. Google Docs is pretty cool. I wouldn't recommend using PowerPoint for this assignment. Just because this assignment is not really a presentation. This assignment is more like you're analyzing stuff. You're analyzing presentations. You know what I mean? But that's it. Oh my goodness, I went over the time really. I'm so sorry. I wanted to walk you guys through. I wanted to make sure you guys had that sample to look at. But everybody feel pretty good about the assignments. Hopefully I clarified things up. Okay, good. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your patience. You guys were awesome. Thank you for your insight and responses. I'm really looking forward to your assignments. And don't forget, any questions at all, please feel free. Email me at etapia@fullsail.com. Alrighty, folks, I am going to stop yapping and have a wonderful day. All right, folks, get started on those assignments. Take care, all.